If you've recently begun playing violin or viola, or you've been playing for a while and you are struggling to keep that bow pinky nice and curved on top of the stick, or maybe it just keeps falling off like this, then this one's for you. Hey, this is Langerman from Violinna.live, helping you along your musical journey. In this video, you're going to get 5 progressive exercises for strengthening your bow pinky in a way that's going to help it stay on the stick, and it's going to help you play with a supple yet steady bow hold. So before we start, it's important to understand that the pinky has to be placed on the tip like this and not on the pad that's a little bit lower. That is because when we place the pinky on the tip, it actually supports the weight of the rest of the finger. And if we put it on this part over here, what happens is that actually this could put the finger in danger and you could injure yourself, because what happens is that placing weight of the bow over here will cause the pinky to collapse like this. And that's why a lot of times sometimes we see players doing this, which is incorrect. It should be curved this direction. So with all the exercises I'll be showing in this video, please try to keep the stick on this side as opposed to this side. As you can see, the moment I put it more on the pad, the pinky became stiff and flat. That's very important to understand, that there is no support of the weight from the rest of the hand, and that's what causes the pinky to collapse when we put it like this. And when we put the pinky on the tip like this, now the rest of the hand is supported, and it allows for that curve to happen, and it allows for the weight distribution to happen that will allow you to play with a better sound and with a more relaxed grip. Also, these exercises will all make a lot more sense when you are simultaneously working on a relaxed bow hold and developing flexibility among the other fingers and other parts of the hand as well. If you try to target only the pinky and neglect what is happening in the rest of the hand and the rest of the fingers, you're actually going to get stuck. It's important to understand that the fingers work together and everything is connected. As always, if any of these exercises are contradictory to what your private teacher is telling you, then ignore this video and do what your teacher is telling you. And be sure to watch until the end for a quick bonus exercise and tip. If you find the following exercises helpful, then I would appreciate if you like this video to help support this channel, and also so that YouTube recommends these kind of videos for you in the future. Okay, here we go. For the first exercise, we're going to practice lifting off the string using our pinky by pushing it down on the stick. We're going to rest the bow on one of our strings, doesn't matter which one. I'll just pick the D string, put the bow in the middle like this, so it's nice and relaxed. Keep your fingers super loose. The bow's not going to fall, the violin's going to catch it. We'll use the pinky to try to lift the bow off the string without making a sound. This is actually a lot more challenging than it sounds when I say it. Okay, so use the weight of the pinky, push it down, and the other fingers will have to adjust slightly to get that bow off the string. And then we want to place the bow back down and try not to make any sounds. It takes a bit of practice. And then once the bow is back down, relax those fingers. Okay, and do it again. Pushing the pinky down. The rest of the hand, you're going to notice it adjusts its weight. And this is much easier to do if your thumb is bent, which I mentioned in a few of my other bow videos that you might remember if you have been watching. Okay, again, you cannot target the pinky alone. Like I said in the beginning, the whole system is involved here. Now we'll do the same exercise further closer to the tip. It might be a little bit more challenging actually, because the bow will weigh much less here, so it will take more effort to lift the bow gently. We put the bow down and then relax the fingers, let them loose. And now there's my pinky. I'm going to push down and try to distribute the weight so that the tip of the bow lifts up. I made a little sound there. See, it's more difficult at the tip. So put it back down. Let the fingers loose and do it again. Okay, so that's exercise number 1. Okay, the second exercise, it's somewhat similar, but we're going to do it at the frog. We'll place the bow on the E string, and we're going to use our fingers to roll the bow to the G string and back down. And try this exercise also with different elbow levels. So right now my elbow's kind of low, so it's gonna feel different at this elbow level versus now I'm gonna do it like this, and you're gonna notice that when the elbow level is more around the A and D string, this will be easier to do. So very important when you do this, try to feel, you're gonna feel the strings right under the hair of the bow. And as you go from one string to another, your fingers will slightly adjust to get the hand to be balanced. You can do it even a little higher now. It's gonna feel a little strange on the E string now, like this, with the elbow at this level. And if you notice that your pinky is falling off with this exercise, you can use one of those pinky grips to help you at first. That way the finger gets the correct shape, and you train the finger to get into that shape. And once you get used to placing it like that, you can take it off, or you can go back and forth using it and not using it to see if you can replicate that same sensation without it. Okay, exercise number 3. We don't need the violin, so I'm gonna put it down. For this one, it's a little bit more challenging, is to get the bow stick to move up and down by flexing your fingers. So this one's a little more challenging because it will require you to do this with all 5 fingers, but especially the thumb and these back 2. So I'll start with my fingers flat, and well, you can see the whole bow in the frame, but you can watch the tip. I'm going to flex the fingers so that as if I'm picking up an object like this. And you notice that the tip goes up, and now I'm going to release, like let the object go, drop, and the tip goes down. So you practice going up and down, only using the fingers. Notice that I'm not moving my forearm. If you notice you're moving the forearm, sometimes this happens in the beginning. So try to keep this wrist, you can use this hand to keep the wrist steady at first to practice this. Do it very slowly, and the best you can, try to keep the stick facing vertically so it doesn't go that way. Okay, so watch the tip again. Curve the fingers and release. Pick up that object, release. Okay, do that several times. This might take a little time to get, but keep at it, you'll get it. Now the 4th exercise, going directly from what we just did, we're going to get the bow from this vertical position and do something very similar in the horizontal position. And we'll use the violin to help us here. Remember from the first exercise, when the bow was on the strings, it just kind of rested there. Gravity was helping it stay on the string, right? We didn't really need to do very much here. We could let go of the fingers. So we're going to use the same idea near the frog. So we're going to keep our fingers curved, like remember when we picked up that imaginary object, when we had to lift the bow, we're going to do that hand shape, and hold the bow about an inch above the string, something like this maybe, if you can see. And then we're going to drop our imaginary object, or in this case we're going to lower the bow to get it to touch the string. And we're going to lift it back up, lift and drop, using only the fingers. Again, you can use the pinky gripper or the pinky holder to help you out with this. And all 5 fingers move, all of them. Okay, exercise number 5, without the violin. We're gonna hold the bow just like we did for exercise number 4, just without the violin this time. This is a finger lifting exercise. It's more advanced, it's a little challenging. And we're going to first lift the index finger and balance the bow like this on 3 fingers. And the challenge is to see if we can lift 1 more finger. So now we're balancing on 3 fingers. The real challenge is to see if we can balance on 2 fingers, lifting the ring finger, which is extremely challenging to keep the bow steady like this. If you can get yourself to do this, then you are in great shape. Go put the fingers back down. You can adjust the hand if you need to, because sometimes what happens with this exercise is you'll notice that the part of the pinky that's touching the stick, it's not ideal. Either it becomes too close to the nail or it becomes too much on the pad over here. So you want to find just the right spot where it's going to be supported. And another thing you can do to make it a little easier is you can move your hand a little bit this way, a few inches this way. And actually a lot of my beginner students, I have them start by putting their hand over here in their first few weeks of playing, or maybe in their first couple months of playing, until they become used to the weight at the frog, and then you can move your hand back, because it's very heavy over here. Also depends on the bow. Some bows are heavier than others over here. So if it helps, you can do the same exercise right here. We'll go 1, 2, 3. And again over here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I promised you a bonus exercise at the beginning of this video. Pretty simple actually. You can play a scale or a piece or anything you want. Flip the bow upside down, and well, let's not hold it all the way at the tip, but maybe about somewhere over here past the halfway point. You're gonna see right away why this is challenging, of course. So if you can play like a, you'll notice right away why this is challenging, especially when you have to cross strings. Then when you flip it back to normal, this is gonna feel much easier. And a little tip also, if you still find that your pinky just keeps slipping, and that's something that many players do, but not too much. When you play, tilt your bow so that the stick faces away from you. So what does that do? Why do many players play with the bow tilted this way as opposed to that way? Why don't we tilt the bow this way? Notice that when I tilt the bow this way, where the stick faces me, look what happens in the bow hand, okay? If I do it this way, which sometimes I see students do, and telling them, no, flip it the other way, so then the hand will be relaxed. If it's this way, then look how stiff this looks. The pinky is not, it's trying to stay on top, but it's struggling. You can see right over here, and also at the wrist. It actually starts at the wrist. So we want a more natural bow hold. We want the hand to be like this, like a paintbrush, you know, just very natural. So that's why if we turn it this way, you get the hand to be more natural, as if you're walking down the street, because we don't walk down the street like this, right? We keep the hand more like that, just at our side or something. So when you get the bow tilted this way, it gets all the fingers to relax, and in turn what happens is you get a better sound. And the reason the pinky is more likely to stay on top of the stick is, let's take a look at the shape of the bow. Your bow is probably has this octagonal shape over here. And if you pay attention to which angle the fingertip goes on, a little trick you can do is, if you put, just for practice, if you tilt the bow this way, the pinky will go on a different side of the octagonal shape. It'll go actually on this side instead of the one up here, or you could do that on purpose briefly, and that is going to help it stay. When it's too much, when it's on this edge over here, that's when it's likely to slip down. But if you go to this edge, it'll more likely stay. Alright, so here you go. I hope these exercises and tips were helpful to you. If you enjoyed them, please like this video and share it with a friend or a colleague. If you'd like a summary of all of my content in both video and written form, I have a bi-monthly newsletter that goes out the 1st and 15th of each month. There's a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and happy practicing!